emergency down here. Website has no marketing, no email marketing, no social media marketing of any kind, and it's not even ranking on the first page of Google. Over. 10-4, Mighty Mike and his marketing SWAT team are en route. Over.
You are listening to Business Marketing 911 with Mighty Mike and his marketing SWAT team. So buckle up and get ready because the episode is beginning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, you guys? Mighty Mike here, and you are watching Business Marketing 911, as you know from the awesome intro where we just bring the heat. My guest today, I'm really excited. She is a legal marketing consultant, lead conversion and communication expert, and pro blogger. She helps business owners focus on actionable items that help make the biggest impact. I mean, she's creating a YouTube channel. I've known her from a company I used to work for, and she's just been killing it. So I just want to welcome you, Kelsey. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Mike.
I got to tell you, before you guys start putting in the comments about my tie here, I'm also a real estate agent here in Orlando. So I have another show I just started. So I know the people are going to start hitting me in the comments, being like, "Why are you turning into a stiff on us?" So good stuff. So first thing I always ask is, how did you get started in marketing?
Well, you know what? I was a child who graduated from college in 2008. And so I actually spent quite a few years just being in the service industry, traveling around a bit. And when I decided to settle in on a career path, I was looking at technology, because technology is something that's emerging. Digital marketing was something that's really emerging and something that was really interesting to me. I'm not much of a salesperson. And so I actually was looking into getting into something called local SEO, which I'm sure you've heard of. People have probably heard about Google My Business, Yelp listings and all of that. And I found an opportunity to get into that at my last company, and that it just sort of took off from there.
That's awesome. So, the thing that I find is most marketers, they kind of like fall into it at some point. It's like, you're creative, or you are driven, right? And you know that it has the biggest impact. There's a whole bunch of different reasons. And depending on your reason, usually is what depends on what you end up doing, right? So, for me, like I'm not a big fan of like going door knocking and like talking to millions of people and like getting no's, right? So I'm not the salesman. So I'd rather sit there and build a beautiful website, and that's my superpower. But Kelsey, what is your marketing superpower?
Well, my degree is in English literature, so I know how to research and write.
There you go.
It was very easy for me to get into writing, blog posts or content for website that sounds good, that's interesting. I mean, if a lot of people are in smaller businesses, especially like in the legal industry, in other professions like plumbers, anything like that, it can be kind of difficult to create content for your website that's interesting, but it's not impossible. And so, me from just writing about, 18th, 19th century, literature, it turned into me being able to write interesting things that I find interesting and are interesting for the leads who are, looking to potentially hire somebody. And so it just ended up being like a perfect fit. You don't think about this when you're getting your degree in college, but if you can write a lot and you can write interesting stuff, then it works out well for you. I will say, Mike, I also did learn to code, some websites as well. And I think that's just super fun too. But
yeah,
I guess once you're a nerd about one thing, you're a nerd about all of it, right?
That's true. You just never know. I mean, I feel like if there's something I don't know, it bothers me. And so then I try to find out, I know we're the most, smartest person. I'm not saying that, but like if there's something that intrigues me and I'm like, I don't know about it, then it bothers me that I don't know how to do it. Like with coding, that was the main thing, was like, I was like, I don't know how to do it. It intrigues me. So I started learning about it. And then I realized I didn't have to know everything about coding to be good at building websites. And that was enough for me. I was like, I've went far enough down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm that same way, and I feel that way about things that work too. So,
Mhm.
like, if you have marketing that's working or not work, I feel like people are okay with marketing that's not working. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh, I sent out that tweet or I posted that blog, and like, it didn't really bring any new leads in. But once you figure out what does work, you like the key is to figure out why. So when you're
Right.
first starting to market your business, you want to do a lot, right? You want to work to like spread thin, try to, get on all of those avenues where your clients could potentially be. But the key to being a really successful marketer or a successful business owner, who's doing your own marketing, is to find those places where it actually worked. And instead of continuing to do everything, capitalize on those places that were really bringing in the business that grows your business.
I love that because what I find so often, Kelsey, is people will come to me and they'll say, that Facebook, those Facebook ads are a scam, and I'm like, you keep thinking that, and because the truth is, you're right. People will spend money just to test it out and not know what they're doing. They'll find out, like for example, even like building a website, you could spend a lot of money building a very pretty website that nobody ever finds.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I've definitely worked with business owners who do that and who have thought that the website itself is just going to carry the SEO. And I
Right.
understand why. There's definitely places out there that are saying, oh, we're an SEO website company.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it might be optimized for SEO, but you still have to figure out who your clients are and where they are and what kind of
Mm.
ways they want to be brought to your website. And like you said, that could be a Facebook ad,
Yeah.
and Facebook ads could really work for your clients. And then for some businesses, they just don't, or the
Mhm.
content's not right, or the campaign hasn't been put together properly. And it's just kind of like, you just got to find that thing that works.
Yeah.
But
I
having
like
a
the
website
idea.
is key for sure.
Yeah, and I like this idea. I joined Keller Williams Real Estate here in Orlando. I tell you, they have this technology, and this reason I chose them is they had this technology that is called Command, and it has marketing built into it with AI stuff. Anyway, I was as I've been learning about it, I'm like seeing how different industries integrate marketing into their software and into their systems is fascinating. And with these guys, they actually partnered with Google to allow agents to use Facebook ads and the algorithm of Facebook to actually target people. And I was like, wow, if I could harness that and know that, that's something I'm fascinated with. And because you're with Smith AI, I was like, I got to dive into the AI stuff a little bit. So tell me, okay, I know you probably can't release all the golden nuggets here today on Business Marketing 911, but you could give me something. Give me something, Kelsey.
Sure. Well, let me start with a little bit of what Smith AI actually is. We're a virtual receptionist service. So, what we're talking about now is not necessarily your marketing, but making sure that when you do get those leads from your marketing, that you actually get them. I don't
Mm,
think like any businesses, some do, most, especially small and medium sized businesses, don't understand how much business they're leaving on the table that they already paid for the marketing for. This person
right.
already made it to their website. They already called their business. They were already interested, and they literally just didn't get a hold of you. They're not going to leave a voicemail. It's 2021. Come on. I mean, my mom doesn't even leave voicemails for me anymore.
Yeah.
They might have gotten to your website. And so what Smith AI is it's this system for capturing those leads from that marketing that you already did
Mm,
in a couple of ways. The first way is just a virtual receptionist service, a service that you route your calls through that picks up when you can't, right? Either you're busy or it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're sleeping, or, you are already on a call with somebody else, or you're working, right? You are
yeah.
literally running your business, doing the things that you get paid for. And so a virtual receptionist can pick up the phone there. And then, we have a live chat service that you can put on your website, which I got to be honest, it's such an effective system for just capturing leads that hit your website. You just don't even know who's there unless you're trying to talk to them in real time. The AI comes in to like really make these systems, like you said, integrated with everything, right? So when you have somebody calling, if our receptionist picks up the phone and basically takes some information from this person, right? You could get an email with it, which is fine, but something cool that you could do instead is have this information automatically logged in your like CRM, if you've got one, which is a customer relationship management, basically the place where you manage your leads and your clients. You can have this sort of trigger something that's a whole automated flow where without you ever having to be involved, the caller gave, the receptionist their phone number, that gets sent to your, marketing or management platform, which then triggers follow-ups. You can send them a text message. You could send them an email the next day. You could send them more information. You can send them a scheduling link. You can really set up these like super, super cool, like technological systems from the back end, and you're still running your business, right? You're like being a lawyer, or you're serving papers or whatever it is that you're doing. And all of this sort of lead capturing, lead generation, and lead nurturing is going on behind the scenes.
I see. So the thing is, I'll tell you right away, I get calls all the time, especially now in real estate. I get a text message or a call or a Facebook friend request every day, probably 3 times a day. We'll give you leads. We'll do virtual assistant, AI. How do you know, like for those people who are interested in like having some kind of an AI, system set up, how does that even work? What should we watch out for?
Well, you got to start with what your need is first. So a lot of these have like a free trial for you. First of all, I'm of the general rule that if you're getting like out of the blue a bunch of outreach for stuff like that, it might not be for you. I'm gonna close my shades right here so I stop looking.
So you don't look like a zebra.
So I don't look like a zebra anymore. But to be honest, I think that every business owner needs some system of this, unless you're literally, Comcast and they probably already have a call center that they're outsourcing this stuff to, but like, you just need to be available all the time. Everybody's expecting it, period. Your clients, your potential clients, all customers are expecting this responsiveness.
You live on your website. You live on your website. You're there to answer questions,
Totally.
That's good. I like that. And, one of the apps that I'm loving in this command system is that, when somebody goes and they click on a website, like I'll send them a list of properties to look at, right? They'll go and they'll click on the properties, and then this system tells me that they looked at it, right? So they think they're just browsing through some browser to find houses, and then the technology is telling me, by the way, she's interested in 123 Main Street.
Totally.
Right? I mean,
totally.
that kind of power is really powerful. So how,
well, I guess you know what? It's not all expensive either. So, we've got this like live chat service, right, which has an actual person behind it. But we also have something that's just a chat bot that you set up, and it just asks somebody a couple of questions. What did you come here for? What do you need? Like, do you want us to get in touch with you about this? It gets their email address, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And this software is free. You can go to Smith.ai and grab it and put it on your website, and it doesn't cost you anything ever. And there are a lot of other systems like that are free. And so, especially for people who are just starting out and trying to figure out what's good and what's not, try out some stuff for free. There's tons of places have free trials. They have freemium models on this stuff. And once you've tried something out, it's like the marketing that we were talking about earlier, right? That like you try out the Facebook ads, and you try out the SEO, and you try out the Google AdWords, and you try out, texting people and all these different systems for marketing. do the same with your communications and with your responsiveness, and just see what works.
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of just being tentative or being attentive, right? Ready to go. Somebody needs you, somebody texts you, you're right away responding. And technology can help us because maybe I'm in the bathroom, right? Maybe
Totally.
I'm with my kids playing or whatever. And so you can seem like you are, and you can actually still be there for them and answer them and get that lead and get that follow up. The other thing I want to touch on too, Kelsey, is like you're talking about the idea of Facebook versus email. You mentioned email. People might say, well, why email is important? I have their Facebook, I have their YouTube. You may not always have those contacts on Facebook. Your account could get deleted or whatever. You want to speak to that?
Yeah. And other than literally having somebody's phone number, email is the number one thing that you need. Email marketing took a huge surge. And so maybe a couple of years ago, people were talking about how like emails overrun, nobody's going to read their emails more. That's not true anymore.
Right.
There are people who, decide whether or not to keep you in their inbox, but you need to make them make that decision. And,
Right.
check in with them and send them useful information. And somebody who decided not to hire you this, week or month, in 6 months might need you. Or if you send them an email and it's in their inbox and they have a friend who says, oh, I need this service. They're like, oh, okay. No, I remember that business. Who was it? They have you in their inbox. And so
Right.
this is just, it's just like one of the most effective things that you can do. I mean, don't be annoying. Don't send them 8 million emails. Everybody's gonna turn you off if you do that. But
Yeah.
it's a very professional way to connect with your leads.
Yeah.
And it's a fail-safe, like you said, Mike. I'm going to have my email address for the rest of my life. I've connected it to too much stuff at this point. So
I have a bad habit of changing emails because I change a brand or whatever. And so now I'm sticking with Mike at mightymikereed.com. I'm like, it can't be any more brandable, and permanent than that. So
yeah, I've got
um,
a couple too.
yeah,
But if I sign up for something, for a personal reason, I'll use my personal email. If I sign up
right.
for something for work, I'll use my work email. Same thing with my consultant, email. So
Yeah. So Kelsey, using your superpower, your marketing superpower, what are 3 things that our listeners here, our viewers here can take action on? Because you said you're an actionable coach, right? That's what you do.
I am an actionable coach. I have I have tons of advice, but I'll go, since it's a marketing podcast, I'll go marketing first. The number one thing that think you need to do, and I feel like a lot of marketers are saying this, and I'm not sure that everybody's still doing it. Make sure that you have your Google My Business set up. Capture it. It's totally free. Make sure that you've got that listing set up, fill it out all the way, start posting things on it. If you have a promotion, post it on Google My Business. I mean, there's no better way to play nice with Google than to literally do it Google's way. And as we all know, even with the emergence of Bing and DuckDuckGo and everything, Google's got like 90% of our traffic. So so capture your Google My Business listing. I will say also, if you're looking for a couple more, make sure you've got a Facebook business listing and make sure you've got your Yelp listing, and have all of those have the exact same information. Same phone number, same name. Don't change your name up. You're going to have an address. That can be tough for a lot of us working remote or working from home now. We can't use a PO box, so you have to figure out your way around that. But it's just sort of the number one thing to do.
Yeah.
Number 2, you got to have a website. We were talking a little bit earlier about how before we got on this call about how you can have a website that's SEO optimized, and it doesn't mean if you just get one you're gonna like be ranking for everything, but you got to have one. You got to have something. There are a couple of examples in service and in like food service industries and stuff where having just a Facebook page or something could work, but really have something. Make sure it's mobile friendly. Make sure it's not dragged down with a bunch of extra scripts or anything that's less important than having a place that you can send people that says what you do, how they can sign up, and then has that phone number on there. And then I'm torn. Right now, I would say social media over email, but we just talked about email, so I'll talk about social a little bit. Social media is kind of a re-emerging place for marketing. You just have to figure out where your leads are. So if they're talking in groups, if they are, in certain places on LinkedIn, if your leads are on Twitter, if your leads are on Instagram, they might be there. Hey, listen, there's this new thing called TikTok. I'm not young enough to be on there, but I am anyway.
Oh, stop. You could do one of those boogies. What is it called where they do the dances? Yeah, you can do it.
No, but TikTok's for if you've noticed that your clientele is on TikTok, it's kind of the Wild West right now. So if you feel comfortable getting in front of a screen, if you feel comfortable making a couple of videos, that could be something that gives you extensive reach without paying a dime, really. So try them all out and see if you can figure out where your leads are. The one thing I would say with social media is you can't just post everything. You could get like a social media management platform or whatever and post a bunch, but it's engagement only. For the most part, you have to be there, right? Get Smith AI answering your phone so that you can be on Facebook. It's totally crazy. It's a crazy new world, but it's helpful for sure.
Okay, so all right, so if I'm hearing you right, I got to have a Google My Business. And Google My Business is essentially like, I have an address with Google.
Yeah. So have you ever Googled like a dentist near you or a, Chinese restaurant near you, and it shows you a map with a couple of just little cells beneath it with businesses? Those are your Google My Business listings. So it's actually almost like Google giving you your own screen, your own page on their site. And then it probably already exists. If you've had a business for a little while, Google's figured it out and they put you up there. You just need to make sure you go and claim it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I'll tell you, what's funny is you mentioned that because it's almost a given. Like when I work with process servers and private investigators and attorneys, I'm just kind of shocked. It's almost like, talking to somebody who smokes, don't you know that kills you? It's like, don't you know that like Google is what people use to find you? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like that. I was a nursing major. So like, if someone was smoking in nursing class, it was like they were the devil, It's like,
yeah.
So it's kind of like that, you have to have it. It's not even a question. If you're going to run a business and you want to receive phone calls, people are going to search you. And then if you don't want to do Google ads or you've heard bad stuff about Google ads or whatever, that's not Google ads. Google My Business is just like a free business listing that Google wants your information so they can better provide for their customers who are the searchers.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I generally say, especially if you're getting started or you haven't done a lot of marketing, search for your business's name first. And if what you see doesn't impress you, it's not going to impress people who've literally already heard of your business. So but there are like things you can do, like, creating a Facebook page that'll show up in that search result, creating a Yelp listing or even like a ServeNow listing or a Thumbtack listing or, making sure you have that good looking website or claiming Google, all of the stuff is free or cheap and relatively. And you just need to make sure that like at least the number one step, if somebody's already heard of you and they're looking you up, they like what they see.
Right. Yep. I love it. And I love the idea of social media. Go where the people are that might be interested in what you're looking for. TikTok might be a younger audience for the most part, but listen, in 10 years, those people, especially 20 years, those people are going to be the highest earners. Those are going to be the people making buying decisions.
Yeah, they're younger, but they're also my age. We've got millennials on there now, and millennials have real jobs. It's not 2008 anymore.
They need a divorce lawyer.
We are lawyers, and we are businesses, and it's not you think of it as a young app, but as long as you've got useful information up there, it's it could be really useful.
Yeah. And I just warn you guys, if you go on TikTok, be careful, because you'll look up and an hour has gone by and you don't know where it went.
Mike, I got to be honest, that's my biggest problem with social media marketing is that I'm like, I can't even get on. I'm on Twitter and all of a sudden like I've heard everything that everybody I follow has to say, and I just set yourself a little alarm or something, or like make a cup of tea, put your kettle on, then quickly get on there, and then once the kettle's boiling.
I just think it's crazy that the world technology, I think Elon Musk was talking about this. He says technology is outrunning us, and there's no way we can keep up when it comes to understanding like how it's going to affect us. Now they have the smart chip, or the chip that, he's making, or he's partnered with someone to make it, put a chip in your head so you can have a thought that will turn into an action technologically, however that works with the software.
Yeah.
I'm going to let all you guys put the chip first, and then I'll let you know.
And what I will say is a lot of people get overwhelmed by this, especially business owners. Like if you are a small business owner, you are a marketer, but you're also a salesperson, and you're also suddenly, have to be an expert in finances. You have to know how to start an LLC or whatever type of business that you have. Then go figure, on top of that, you have to offer the services. You have to do what it is that people are paying you to do. Like it's so crazy. So, we always say at Smith AI, like outsource as much as you can. Try as hard as you can to find technology to do what you need it to do. So like I was earlier talking about, doing these email marketing campaigns and these follow-up campaigns. If you're not comfortable putting this together, you can hire a consultant, and they might charge you a few $100 to put together this campaign for you. But then you just don't have to, follow up with people manually for however long. Like this is so much of your time saved that you can use either, on Facebook, or, doing this sort of other outreach or networking, once we're getting back together. Mike, I know you're in Florida, so you guys are all, out at the bars and everything anyway, but, but once people are back at conferences and stuff, then you have that time for that stuff. So that's the one thing I'd say is outsource and automate as much as you possibly can. You will be so happy you did.
That's true. That's really true.
I believe you. And then the second thing is it's so tempting for us to want to do the things that we are comfortable with. It's so tempting for me to want to find, process servers on TikTok, but that's not where my leads are. So what you need to do, instead of, you can try all of the social media platforms, try, email marketing, try some AdWords. If you have the budget for it, can get expensive to really figure out if that works for you, but it's not as expensive to do some Facebook campaigns or LinkedIn or whatever. But once you figure out where your leads are, where you're actually getting that business, that's where you should spend your time. And don't get into this place where you feel so overwhelmed where you're not getting the return from your work, from your time, because your time is important. It's really valuable. So, you got to just like figure out where your leads are, try to get there, and then spend your time there.
Yeah, and from ClickFunnels, those of you guys that have been watching the show for a while, I'm ClickFunnels guy, and I've kind of moved on from them, but I still go back to them anytime it comes to direct response, anything. The idea is, hook story offer, right? And so having a hook that says, hey, for like first time home buyers, for example, if they don't qualify for a loan or whatever, you have some, 10 steps to raise your credit. If it's for attorneys, how do you know he's cheating? Or some kind of free download. Kelsey, you do a lot of blogging. What would you recommend how to test that and see what the kind of best free download would be?
You
My
know, I wouldn't say that that's my specialty. You
Ah,
know, you certainly if you can get things tracked on your site, then you can figure out what's working for you there. Just throw some Google
yeah,
Analytics on there.
yeah.
Um, there's a lot of cool technology out there, and a lot of times I just recommend people like talk to your leads when they reach out to you. You know, ask them what they heard about, what they were interested in,
Yeah.
and see if you can get some tracking on your site so that you can see what's actually converting.
Well, what I love that that I hear you saying in a few things that you said, themes, is keep it simple. Figure out what works for you, where your people are congregating, whatever social media platform it's on, and then give them something of value to drive them back to your website. And just preface this, you know, that's actually the hard part. The easy part, which most people fail at, is you got them to your website. Now what? Are you not collecting the lead? Are you not collecting the information? And Kelsey, you're talking about there's a whole nother resource where you can actually talk to people on your website. Where they get, and I don't know if it's a bot, and I think we all question that, right? When you go in, they're like, "Hey, how are you today?" And you're like, "Is my camera off? Make sure my camera's off." You know?
Sometimes it's a bot and sometimes it's not. But either way, it will capture an email,
Mhm,
so you can follow up on that person.
mhm,
And if it is somebody who's like don't forget, marketing is showing people something that's useful, but your service is also useful,
that's
or
true.
your product is useful. Like
Yeah.
this, a lot of people really want this, you know? And so what they need is maybe they have a couple of questions about like, hey, how much is this going to cost? Or, you know, I live here. Can you still do this for me? And
Mhm,
so adding this sort of chat feature to your site, whether it's a chat bot, which a lot of times it is, a lot of times it's real people, sometimes it's a combination. Sometimes the
mhm.
chat bot starts the conversation and then a real person takes over if it's, you know, a real person is warranted. Even though Elon Musk thinks we're all going to have chips in our heads soon, the robots are not taking over. Real people are really, you know, the most useful ones in the long run. But even if even if you decide to put this chatbot on your site, anybody who was like, I just want to know this. I want to know if you can do this thing. I want to know if you have this color. I want to know, you know, if you can help me in this service area, or I've got this really
Mhm.
specific situation. You at least have this person's name, their email address. You can set it to even ask for their phone number if you'd like, and what their issue is. And so what you can do with that is follow up on them, right? Reach back out to them and answer their question.
Mhm.
And then if four people are like, I want to know if you can do this, write a blog post, right? If there are four people who already made it to your site who have a question that you're not answering on your site, write a blog post about that question. And then that's just bringing in more people who want to know about that.
So, but Kelsey, blog posts, I mean, I hate writing, I hate reading. Like, how am I supposed to write a blog post? I'm not a blogger. Like, my friend's a blogger and she writes 2,000 words about cupcakes. I can barely make a Twitter post. How am I supposed to write a blog?
Well, you can outsource it. Like I said, you know, outsourcing is one of my favorite things to do. As somebody who does write blog content for, you know, both my own company, but I've, you know, written content externally. Make sure that you know what the value is and have a decent, you know, budget for that, because you do want somebody who can write pretty well, and have a good this goes back to the topic, have a good topic to write about. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of people blog all the time. That's wonderful. People just are writers. I mean, if you
yeah,
think about like newspapers and stuff, those are basically, you know, blogs that are going out all the time because they're about the newest news.
yeah,
But you might have been doing the same thing for 10 years. It hasn't really changed that much. So try
right.
to identify what those things are and spend more money on better articles than worse articles. So, you
That's
know,
good.
maybe even just get it started yourself. But I understand not liking to write or not wanting to write. And I say outsource. Don't put
Yeah.
yourself through that. That's unless you are literally running a content company, there's no reason that you should have to be a writer on top of a financial planner, on top of a, receptionist, on top
Yeah.
of a salesperson, it's
Marketer,
tough.
accountant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none,
And you
they
can,
say.
I think it's Upwork is the one where you can find a lot of
Fiverr.
options for content writers.
Yeah.
Ask around with your friends if anyone has somebody that they like. This is something that you got to find someone good. It's sometimes hard to
Yeah.
tell. Make sure you're getting some examples and some prices up front and stuff. But once you find
Yeah.
a good content writer, then they can really help you out.
That's true. I've heard a couple. I'll tell you, since we've been talking, it's been, 20, 30 minutes. I'd say probably 10,000 words. I mean, it's surprising how many words come out of your mouth during the day. So if you're driving home, you got 30, 40 minutes to drive home. The way I like to write blog posts is, of course, if you have a podcast, you can transcribe it and repurpose it that way. But I'm just talking about do a talk to text and talk to yourself, talk to your phone about what it is you want to say, and then go find articles that relate or support or are against what you're saying. Just like if you're writing a paper in English class, the point is though, is it can come from a personal perspective a lot easier just by talking to your phone. Like, talking about, process servers, for example. There's a lot of process servers that follow me, process serving in Atlanta, Georgia is, and talk about it, one of the hardest things is finding a place to go to the bathroom because and finding places you can go where you don't have to spend all your money, or whatever. So
another cool idea with that is, find somebody who doesn't already know what you do, turn on that recorder and have them ask you what you do and explain to them what you do. There's a whole post on this is what I do, this is what I do day to day, these are the people I work with. This is what I like about it. That's some pretty interesting content. When I worked at ServeNow, I had the hardest time explaining to people what digital marketing for process servers was. Like my dad still, he's like, was that a internet company? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it anymore.
I do stuff on the computer and I'm smart, buy me a car.
Totally.
Yeah. Good. That's cool. Well, it's been fun hanging out with you. What is your parting piece of advice for my mighty action takers?
Well, I think that everybody should use more technology. So do your research. But there are oftentimes when I talk to small business owners, they are just not using. There's so many amazing tools out there that literally can take work completely off of your hands to the point where like 3 months later, you'll be like, I can't believe I was doing that myself before. So look into it. Look into finding technology, that talks to each other. There's this amazing platform called Zapier that literally almost all of your different types of software can talk to each other, and so that's my parting piece of advice. I do work for Smith AI, which is a virtual receptionist service. If that sounded like something that's interesting to you, head over to smith.ai and check that out. If you like the idea of that free chatbot, you can find that at smith.ai/pricing, just under the live chat feature. Totally free forever. You just got to throw it on your site. I'm sure we can figure out how to put it on Mike's sites. It's just like a couple of lines of code that you put in your footer. So,
I'm putting it on my site, and if I can get a live person, Kelsey, on my website, then I'll pay double. I'll double.
Yeah. Quick disclaimer: I'm terrible at picking up the phone, so I won't be answering any of your calls. Nor am I good at live chat.
So what do you do? I'm just kidding.
we got the experts, man. Our team is incredible, and they are like adventurous, and they are incredibly professional, and they are obsessed with accuracy and tone. And so, we would get nowhere without this just really great team of receptionists and chat agents who, want the best, not just for you, but for your callers and your clients. So
Right.
it's pretty cool.
Right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Kelsey, and I know that you're just doing big things, and so I want to stay in touch with you. Maybe have you come on again, when your next big adventure. I mean, I had you at Serve Now, and now you're at Smith AI, and so these guys better pay you good, or someone else is going to scoop you up. Maybe Elon will scoop you up.
Each step of my career, Mike's gonna have me on soon.
Yeah.
Or maybe soon I'll be I'll know so much about technology. It's just gonna be, I can give you a full breakdown on AI and blockchain. Probably could have done that today. It's just not that useful for small business owners.
Right. Like
Sometimes.
a lot of people be like, blockchain.
You
What?
want to know how the AI works, right?
Well, I'll tell you that actually is a fascinating topic, but most business owners are, like you were saying, you have all these hats. As a matter of fact, the only reason they're watching this is because they should be doing something else, like washing the dishes or doing the laundry, and it's like, I'll just watch this thing for a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I appreciate all of the listeners and people who watch this. The whole goal here is to help you guys, get more traffic to your website. But once they're at your website, you got to provide some kind of value that's going to, in exchange for their email address or something. And Kelsey, I love the idea of this chatbot. It actually collects the email address for you.
Yeah, it's just a little thing that says, "Hey, can we help you?" They throw in their email, and then you program it. So if you have a couple of services, it can say, are you looking to, this service A, service B, service C? Are you looking for process service, private investigations, whatever else? They choose that. It takes them through a little thread, and it says, when do you want us to contact you? Morning or evening, phone or email. And then, it just shoots that information over however you want it, like a text or email or something. And then, you've got their email. This is turning these numbers that are called website visitors into real people who spend money for your services. It's like it's pretty awesome.
That's good. Well, thank you again for coming on, and let's comment below if you feel like we're providing value today. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn, go ahead and comment and like and share it. And just thank you so much, Kelsey. This has been really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Okay, mighty marketers, until next time, go check out the website, www.mightywebsitebuilder.com. And don't forget to comment your website below for a chance to win $3,000 in website credits. Okay, we're doing that every week. Make sure to like and share this episode with someone who needs it. And you've been served up some awesomeness by Kelsey and Mighty Mike, the world's mightiest marketer. Come on, Kelsey, let's see what you got. Loving it.
My quarantine muscles.
Your quarantine muscles.